How's everybody doing? Nick Wyman here in the 93.7 Ticket Studios. Not really the main studio, of course, but we are in the recording studio as over on the airwaves. Don't Punt Hour, DeBornay Pearsonell is going on right now as we are wrapping up here on this Thursday night. Really chilly evening here in Lincoln, Nebraska, as we're just wrapping up the day. There's a lot of snow on the ground, but there are games being played across the basketball world, and women's college basketball takes center stage on Thursdays and Sundays across not only Nebraska but also the United States. But Nebraska women's basketball was looking to end a 5-game losing skid out in the Pacific Northwest. They went out and played the Oregon Ducks and suffered another close one, an 80-76 loss to the Ducks. Nebraska now falls to 19-11 on the season, 5-11 in Big Ten play. The Ducks are now improved to 19-9, while Oregon now sits at 7-8. Nick Wyman here, 90.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. This is on YouTube exclusive right now. If you have any comments, I can read them in the chat. We can talk about anything. This is your guys' show. We can talk about it. As Nebraska women's basketball have now lost 6 consecutive games, some against some quality opponents. This is another one, an 8 seed, 8-9 seed range of the where people see them in March Madness at the time. Nebraska 16-11 now, have not beat a ranked team this year, have struggled over the past couple of weeks, and I think they'd be one to admit it as well. You don't want to lose these games, and they're losing close games. They're heartbreakers. So if you have any comments, if you're watching on YouTube where this is being streamed on the main channels, Don't Punt Hour, DeBornay Pearsonell, you can also watch that one on YouTube as well. But if you have any comments, put them on the YouTube chat. Also hit the Sartor Hamann Jewelers text line at 402-464-5685. I will be able to check that out as well. But yeah, we'll get into this one. We'll do about a half hour, if that sounds right with everybody, be able to stay on, because after Don't Punt Hour, you'll have an hour with me on Late Night Lincoln. We can discuss not only this game, but also everything else going on around the world of college, women's college basketball and sports in general. The Olympics happened today, and a lot going on. But let's look at this game. Nebraska, another close one. Nebraska had a 10-point lead at one point in the second half, had a 9-point lead entering the quarter. Nebraska dominated the third quarter, and things just unraveled. They could not score. They were struggling to find the basket at about a 5-minute drought, and got outscored 28-15 down the stretch. And the Ducks used that momentum just to go over the edge, and Nebraska just could not finish. It's a tale as old as time now with Nebraska. They've had times where they've been in games with some tough teams, Michigan State, Wisconsin, another team that's kind of in the same realm of the conference right now. They just have not been able to finish. And that's plain simple. And another close game slips away. I mean, if some of these games went Nebraska's way and you were able to win against teams like an Iowa, a Maryland, an Oregon tonight, and Washington coming up, boost your resume big time. But now you have so many losses to these teams who are solid Big Ten programs. I mean, Iowa, Ohio State, Oregon, Wisconsin, Wisconsin's probably the worst loss, I would say. But all these other ones, UCLA in their right, they are a top program. UCLA is going to be a number 1 seed more than likely come March. It's just frustrating to watch for Nebraska, especially go on this road trip. You know you're on that skid. You'd like to get a win and just could not get over that hump. So once again, 402-464-5685. Sorry, text in questions. I will be able to read them, as well as on the YouTube chat if you have any other more comments. There's plenty going on across this game as Nebraska has suffered their 6th consecutive loss and have fallen to 5-11 in Big Ten play. So let's just get to the start of this game. This game, Nebraska came in kind of a must-win game for them. They needed this one bad because you were on a 5-game skid in late February because their season ends. They only have 2 more regular season games after this. Need a win. At this time, you need to be peaking and playing your best basketball. That is just the cliche they'll say in the world of college basketball. But right now, Nebraska just needs to find some answers. So, start this one off. It was a pretty close game. Both teams came out red hot. The Ducks shot 7 of 14 in the first, 50% from the floor in the first quarter. Nebraska 8 of 11. The big storyline in that first quarter, Maya Jacobs, one of Oregon's top scorers, goes down with an injury, exits the game. She didn't return to the bench, and she left, and she was the second leading scorer behind Katie Fizo, who obviously made a huge impact not only tonight but also throughout the season. So she goes down, so Nebraska has to somehow take advantage of seeing Oregon's second-best scorer come in. So 20-20 after one. Logan Nisley started out really hot, and she hadn't missed in the first quarter, first period of play. She had 7 points right off the bat. The thing that kept Oregon around, Oregon was hot from the three-point line, 4 of 6 shooting from beyond the arc, which kept the game tied at 20. So that was a really good first quarter. I mean, both teams in the 20s, 10 minutes, shots were flying. Both teams were very efficient, over 50% from the floor. At that point, Logan Nisley looked like she was the one who's going to be driving the bus. She was scoring 7 points, didn't miss, and it looked like Nebraska was going to be able to shoot out here with Oregon. And it looked like it, 20-20 after a 10-minute period. I mean, it was a pretty good game so far. And those teams, I mean, Oregon needs wins like this. Oregon's sitting around that 8 spot, sitting around that 9 spot, March Madness. So it was a kind of a feeling out process, as I would describe it, as both teams need a win. Nebraska needs a win bad. Second quarter comes around. Nebraska kind of used a little bit of run. They went on a run, went up by double digits at one point nearing the half, which pushed them up by quite a lot. 11-point lead in the first half in a Big Ten game is quite a lot. And they were able to stretch that out. However, Oregon then closed the gap with a 7-0 run to close the half, which put Nebraska on put them on their back for a second. It looked like, what's going on? Kate Fizo was making a big difference in the paint for the Oregon Ducks. She got up to 7 with 4 of those points coming late in the second quarter. But Nebraska held a 37-33 lead over the Ducks, which was, they had a lead. You had a nice 11-point lead, kind of let it slip away, but you still were in it. It was a neck-and-neck game, close game from the get-go, and Nebraska was able to find a way to hold that lead. It was, momentum shifted toward the Ducks side, clearly. Britt Prince had 8 points to lead at the half. 8 different Nebraska players scored in that first half, so Nebraska had a solid foundation of scores, solid depth. They run a 8-9 person rotation, which is solid for Big Ten basketball. But Britt Prince was leading the way with 8 at that point. Second quarter, Nebraska held a 37-33 lead at that point. So you see that Nebraska, tied the first quarter 20-20, won the second quarter 17-13. Nebraska came out on fire the second half, 24-19 in the third quarter. And at this point, Maya Jacobs did not play in the second quarter, the Oregon's second leading scorer this season. She hadn't seen the floor in the second quarter due to leaving the injury. She came back to return the second half. That makes a big difference, having her back out there for the Ducks. And this is a solid Oregon team. Like, don't get me wrong. Oregon is going to be around that 7, 8, 9 spot come March. Kelly Graves, a veteran coach, been there for a while. And Oregon's had a solid program. Sabrina Wonski's playing in the WNBA, probably one of their most notable players who's come from the Oregon women's basketball program. They've had a lot of really good teams over the years. And this Oregon team is not at that expectation, that level, but they're going to make the dance. They're going to be marching in March. At this point, Nebraska went on a little bit of a tangent, and we're able to just pull away in the third quarter. After 3 quarters, Nebraska held a 61-52 lead over Oregon. And at this point, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this is probably the game where Nebraska is able to get out of that slump, get a win in the Pacific Northwest, move on to play Washington, and just get out of there with a win. Get a win on the West Coast, and then return home to close out the regular season against Rutgers. Nebraska, it was all Nebraska in that quarter. Late in the period, turnover led to, with about under 10 seconds to play, Britt Prince gets the steal, goes the other way for a jumper at the buzzer to put Nebraska up by 9 at that point. And Logan Nisley, again, 13 points, 3 of 6 from 3. At that point, Nebraska put together a really nice run there to pull ahead again. They had that lead in the second quarter, disappear because of the late run by Oregon. The cliche is it's a game of runs. And Oregon put together that run in the first half. Nebraska puts together a run, close the third quarter. Nebraska's up by 9 in almost a must-win game at this point in the season. Nebraska with 16 wins, needs to get some wins on the road, needs to get some wins against some NCAA tournament quality teams. At this point, sitting with only a couple wins in the Big Ten Conference at the moment, and you're on a 5-game skid. This is one where you're up 9. You cannot let this one slip away. So leading big, won the third quarter, 24-19, out-rebounded Oregon as well, 12-8 in that stretch, and had 4 more assists than the Ducks during that. So 3 Huskers were in double digits at that time with Logan Nisley, Britt Prince, and they were and Petra Bozon. She forward with 11 points, and she finished 5 of 6 on the floor. So pretty efficient game for those 3, but still wasn't enough, as we'll get into the fourth quarter here for Nebraska and Oregon. So Nebraska's leading. Nebraska was able to push their lead at one point to 65-55, and with around 6 minutes to go, Nebraska is up by 10, back into that double-digit range, and minutes away from picking up a quality road win that they have been looking for quite some time. And that would have been gold. 6 minutes to go, you're up double digits. You have a really good chance to put the game away and put the game out of reach. Momentum's on your side. You won the third quarter. You finished that third quarter with a bucket from Britt Prince. However, Oregon flipped the script, and real quickly. Oregon dominated the fourth quarter. They took a lead with around 6 minutes left. Nebraska had that lead, that double-digit lead, with 3:06 left in the fourth period. Oregon regained the lead at 68-67, went on a 13-2 run, which pushed the Ducks out in front. In that final quarter at that moment, Oregon was outscoring Nebraska 16-6. It was not pretty. Nebraska's offense just kind of they just could not find a bucket. Just could not find a bucket at that moment. It was just, deflating, I would say, is the word to say. We talk about the deflating feeling when in the men's, I hate to get to the men's, but Jamarcus Lawrence slipping on the floor, that was a very deflating end of a game. This one, just Nebraska could not find a bucket. Could not find a bucket down the stretch. And that's just what happened. So Oregon, during that stretch, 5 minutes without a field goal made for the Huskers. They made two field goals throughout that moment in the fourth quarter. Oregon took a 76-72 lead with around 35 seconds left. It's crazy because Nebraska held a 65-55 lead with under 6 minutes to play. And then all of a sudden, just like that, Oregon takes complete control. And Oregon needed a win like this too, because they're chopping at the bit. They are sitting in that, you don't want to play 1 seed come March Madness time, because you don't want to run into a team like UConn. You don't want to run into a UCLA and have to play them right away. And this helps Oregon potentially get away from that. So, in the end, Oregon makes some free throws on the stretch. Jessica Petrie gets a shot in the end. Down 4, misses it from 23 feet out. And the Ducks pick up the win on their home court and beat Nebraska 80-76, with the final score being in favor of the Ducks. With this, Nebraska, it was a costly loss for Nebraska because they are in danger of missing the tournament. I think this is the game where Nebraska potentially puts themselves out of tournament play. A couple weeks ago, when Nebraska was undefeated, they were sitting around a 6 seed in some of the bracketology predictions. Then a couple weeks go down, they go to a 7 seed. 2 weeks ago, 8 seed. This week, entered as a 9 seed. Some people had them maybe playing, if they won their first round game, maybe playing Audie Crooks and Iowa State, maybe playing a Notre Dame, and then having to go play UConn or South Carolina, depending where you look at and which bracketology you look at. Costly loss. Nebraska potentially in danger now missing the NCAA tournament. They held, they were up 65-55, but they had a 12-point second-half lead at one point in Eugene, and that slipped away, which led to the Ducks coming out on top with that road victory. It's a disappointing loss because you had a big lead twice, slipped away, and now you're on a skid of losing games, which we look at the schedule, Ohio State, they were ranked number 11, lose to them. You lose to Michigan, who was ranked in the top 10, lose to them by 12. Maryland at home a couple weeks ago, lose to them by 18. At the barn in Minnesota, lose to them 84-67. That pushed it to 4. President's Day last Monday, you played Iowa, the 13 seed, number 13 team in the nation, lose to them 80-67. And now tonight with Oregon, that's 6 consecutive losses. If you go back even further, UCLA, Michigan State, and Wisconsin in there, mixed in with some wins over Illinois and Northwestern. You've lost, 9 of the last 11 games. And then you add in a couple more losses that year, USC and Iowa. They're not bad losses. Like USC, Iowa, UCLA, Michigan State, all good teams. Michigan, Maryland, Ohio State, all really good, well-coached teams, well-rounded teams. But you couldn't find a way to win any of them. So the resume is not as strong. Like Nebraska's best win this year, it's tough. I don't know what else there is. You have to find wins, and it may come down to picking up some wins in the Big Ten tournament. Nebraska now 16-11. Is it enough to get in? I'm not too sure. I don't know. A lot of basketball still left to be played, but the clock is ticking. There's only 2 regular season games left on the schedule, and then the Big Ten tournament is going to be huge for this Nebraska women's basketball team. Before we turn the page and take a little break, or one break we're going to take for the show, I wanted to dive into some of the stats. I just am shocked at how quickly the game turned. So Britt Prince led Nebraska with 18 points, 8 of 13 from the floor. No made three-pointers. Behind her, Logan Nisley, 15 points, 4 of 10, 3 of 9 from the three-point range. She started out making all her shots and then got a little cold there, and that kind of went in. Amaya Hargrove, who was up for 6th player of the year in the Big Ten, finally got it broken in the starting lineup. 22 minutes logged for her, 11 points, 50% from the floor. And then Petra Pozan with 11 points. Those are the ones. And then Jessica Petrie off the bench with 12, 3 of 11, 1 of 6 from 3. Nebraska shot 24% from the three-point line as a team, which to Oregon's, they shot 41%. Nebraska also 12 of 13 from them. Both teams shot really well from the free throw line. Just Oregon shot 50% from the floor in general. Nebraska 43. Nebraska was able to get 16 more shots than Oregon, but Oregon was just able to find a way. Down the stretch. Nebraska 21 fouls to their 16. Turnovers were the same, 15 and 16, going both ways. So with this, Nebraska falls to 16-11, 5-11 in Big Ten play. The opportunities are dwindling for the Huskers. When we come back here on 93.7 The Ticket, we are going to look at the road ahead and what Nebraska needs to do to boost their resume as the clock is ticking on their season, because it's winding down quick, and there's not a whole lot of time left for this Husker women's basketball team. With another loss, 80-76 to the Oregon Ducks.
Don't get overwhelmed by all the no-names, plus all the different companies. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate is your go-to option, whether buying or selling residential, luxury, leasing, investment properties, or commercial property, small or large. Ben's team offers decades of experience, unbeatable customer service, and promises to fully protect your interests throughout the entire transaction. Call 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate. Back 9 Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. The weather in the winter months is cold, windy, and as unpredictable as a tee shot on the 450-yard par 4. With top-of-the-line full-swing simulators and a PGA teaching professional, Back 9 Golf is there to help you improve your game and lower your score. Back 9 Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for members. Learn about Back 9's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Lake Road. Back 9 Golf, your premier indoor golf and events destination.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Tune in to Outside the Box from 4 to 5 p.m. for everything you need to know about the Lincoln Stars. Join head coach Rocky Russo and play-by-play voice Alex Byrne as they sit down with special player guests to tell the story of the Lincoln Stars and give you all the news and notes you need from around the USHL. That's Outside the Box with the Lincoln Stars on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you looking for something different for lunch or dinner in Lincoln? Big 8 is now open at 1226 P Street, serving seafood boils and Asian cuisine. Get your hands messy with fresh, flavorful seafood boils, hot, bold, and made to share. Or enjoy classic Chinese and Asian dishes, perfect for lunch, dinner, or a night out with friends and family. Big flavors, generous portions, and a brand new dining experience. Big 8, now open in Lincoln.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and on behalf of the entire Koppel team, we would like to say thank you to all of our loyal customers and employees that have allowed us to become one of the most successful GM dealerships in the country for the past 50 years. So we are celebrating that with some huge discounts. Right now, we have up to $13,500 off MSRP or 0% APR on select new models, and new Blazer EVs are leasing for $279 a month with zero down. So check us out online at koppelcars.com. All deals with approved credit. See dealer for details.
Want to make the easy call? Call John Henry's. From leaky pipes to a broken AC, flickering lights to furnace fights, even drains and duct cleaning, we've got it handled. Plumbing, heating, air, and electrical, all under one trusted roof. Proudly serving homes across Lincoln, Omaha, and surrounding areas, and ready 24/7. Visit calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
and electrical.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Make your next event unforgettable with Grazing Gouda, your local artists and experts in charcuterie and grazed tables. From boardrooms to ballrooms, they turn gatherings into experiences with stunning spreads of artesian cheeses, cured meats, fresh fruits, and gourmet bites. Perfect for corporate luncheons, weddings, parties, or any celebration that deserves a wow moment. They handle the details, you take the compliments. Book your graze table today at grazinggouda.com. Grazing Gouda, because every event deserves to be savored.
Want to make the easy call? Call John Henry's. From leaky pipes to a broken AC, flickering lights to furnace fights, even drains and duct cleaning, we've got it handled. Plumbing, heating, air, and electrical, all under one trusted roof. Proudly serving homes across Lincoln, Omaha, and surrounding areas, and ready 24/7. Visit calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
and electrical.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Nick Wyman here, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Nebraska women's basketball just lost a 80-76 game to the Oregon Ducks up in the Pacific Northwest in Eugene, Oregon. Nebraska now on a 6-game skid after this loss to the Ducks. 91.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Nick Wyman here. Putting a bow on this one. Nebraska held a 12-point lead in the second half, but eventually fell to the Ducks after Oregon put together a rally down the stretch. Not only down the stretch, but also they rallied before the end of the the first half. Put together a 28-15 fourth quarter to put a rally and put Nebraska another loss on their season. So the Huskers have now fallen to 6 straight Big Ten opponents and are now sitting at 16-11 on the season overall, and a 5-11 record in Big Ten play. So, what's next? So, entering this week, Nebraska is sitting around the 8-9 seed mark in the NCAA tournament bracketology. 16-11, I don't know if that's good enough. I don't know if the quality of wins, you have losses to quality teams, but none of them have gone your way. And this is another one. Oregon is a team that needed a win to kind of boost their resume and boost their Big Ten record. They're now 7-8 in Big Ten play, but they're sitting on the 8-9, 7 seed range. Nebraska is a team who they passed the test against all their non-conference. They beat Penn State. They beat Creighton, beat Old Roberts, beat Virginia out in that neutral site tournament they had. But then you turn the page to conference play. They played a game, a rare weekday day game during the holiday season to USC. We're in that game, fall 74-66. Iowa earlier in the year at their place, as the calendar flipped to 2026, lost that game 86-76. UCLA is UCLA. They are one of the best teams in women's college basketball. Michigan State, Nebraska had them on the brink, fall in that one. Wisconsin, probably their worst loss in conference play, more than likely just where Wisconsin's ranked right now. Lose that game by 3. Ohio State, and now you're on the stretch of the 6-game skid with Ohio State, Michigan, Maryland, Minnesota, Iowa, and now Oregon. So what's ahead? Nebraska, the season is winding down. They will play Sunday at 2 o'clock on the Big Ten Network out there in Washington as they play at 2 o'clock Central Time on the Big Ten Network. A must-win, I would say, because the rest of the schedule, the 2 games left on the regular season schedule aren't very daunting. Washington sitting at 19-7, 9-6 in Big Ten play. They're a solid team. They are on probably the same par as an Oregon. So Nebraska's going to have to wipe the slate clean, forget about the tough losses, what has happened in the last couple of weeks, and turn the page. The season, your season is slowly slipping away. Your NCAA tournament aspirations are slipping away, and you need a win over a quality team down the stretch, and they're the only one really left in regular season play, because after that, February 28th at a to-be-determined tip-off time on the Big Ten Network, they will play the 9-17 Rutgers Scarlet Knights, who are in the bunker in the Big Ten. They are 1-14 in Big Ten play. So Nebraska running out of opportunities right now, but after those 2 games, Nebraska guaranteed a spot in the Big Ten women's basketball tournament, which will begin at the start of March. As the calendar flips there, Nebraska is going to need a win in the Big Ten women's basketball tournament. Need a couple wins to see what the resume. If they can finish around that 19-win mark or 20 wins, I think they're in. Maybe they're a last 4 in, depending on who they beat and how the bracket shakes out. Like I said, the Big Ten there's still games going on. Tonight is a big night for women's college basketball. The Washington team we mentioned, who Nebraska has next. Washington is also in action. The Huskies are down 20 with 5.5 minutes to go as they are playing number 2 UCLA, 73-53 in that one with 5.5 to play. So that is a Washington team that's going to want to get back in the win column. They're going to be 19-8 going to that game. They're very similar to Oregon. Nebraska on this skid right now, a 6-game skid, trying to find a bucket, trying to find a win, trying to find wins, quality wins, to put together a resume that doesn't leave them out of March Madness in the NCAA women's basketball tournament come March. If not, the WNIT is coming quickly if they can't string together some wins here in the next couple of weeks. So that is all I have for you tonight. Stick with us. Don't punt hour. Des Moines Pierce now has about a little under a half hour left, and Late Night in Lincoln will be coming up here at the top of the hour from 11 to midnight. It's a little cold outside, but I will be with you throughout that. So if you are stuck indoors due to the snow, if you are out and about, if you're at work or whatever, keep tuned right here at 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com. Plenty to talk about. We will probably talk a little bit more about this one in the second segment. There'll be plenty to talk about elsewhere. There's a lot of basketball going on tonight. NBA's back. Nebraska baseball and softball are heading out to neutral site games in the next couple of hours. They play tomorrow. And then, obviously, Nebraska men's basketball returns to play on Saturday at home. Again, Nebraska women's basketball, a losing in an 80-76 game to the Oregon Ducks tonight. We will recap the rest of that one as we go on. Another tough loss for Nebraska. Nebraska now 16-11 on the season. Only 5 wins in the Big Ten Conference. They are on a 6-game losing skid. But stick with us. Don't Punt Hour wrapping up the next 24 minutes. Late Night Lincoln with Nick Wyman coming up here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.